And our correspondent Sahar Zand joins me now. Hello to you, Sahar. Let's just begin with the breaking news that Mahsa Amini's father has been arrested and quite quickly released by the sounds of it. Now, you were describing to me earlier when we were speaking off air this campaign of harassment that protesters' families are being subjected to. Tell us more about that in light of this news about Mahsa Amini's father today.
Yes, this is nothing new, and it's been going on for months and months, and it's been getting worse and worse in the lead up to the anniversary of Mahsa Amini's death. We know that family members of those who were killed in the protests have been regularly arbitrarily arrested. They've been harassed, receiving threats, not allowed to speak out. We know that activists, human rights activists, have had a really rough time. Only a few days ago, about 12 human rights activists in the north of Iran were arrested. And they have also arrested Mahsa Amini's lawyer, the young journalist who broke the news of her killing. The Islamic Republic is clearly very scared about these people speaking out and inspiring even more protests. This campaign of intimidation is aimed at scaring people off from daring to come back out on the streets. And this only goes to show how scared they are about the presence of people out on the streets. And I think this is how we can kind of assume or predict what is to come.
And what can we expect from the protests that are due to happen around the country for this anniversary today? Certainly it doesn't sound like this intimidation and the increased security in Iran is deterring people. They're just simply getting more organised.
Exactly. I mean, I've spoken to a lot of the protesters who are gearing up to go out onto the streets, to the organisers. And they told me that the day of the anniversary is not the day we've been waiting for. It would be a mistake to set this date as the day that we're all going to go out, because they know that the government, the authorities are on standby. They have had time to learn from the past protests, and they have been planning a more long-term they've been coming up with a more long-term plan. They have so after the anniversary of Mahsa Amini's killing, a string of other anniversaries will follow, and each one of those will renew this anger and trauma and grief that followed, and that brings the potential for unrest. Let's not forget that over 500 people were killed during the protests last year. 70 of them were children. Thousands, 22,000 were arrested, and 7 people died in execution. 7 people were killed were executed, and several died in prison. So people are angry, and this anniversary is not going to be the start and end of this movement. It's only going to be setting up what the protesters tell me, the second phase of what they call a revolution.
And as you've just said there, 500 people lost their lives in the protests last year. Tens of thousands were arrested. But that hasn't quelled this civil disobedience in Iran. What is it that is making people so fearless? And how worried are the regime by this?
Thank you for asking this question. I mean, I asked exactly the same question from the protesters I spoke to, and they said, we have nothing more to lose but the chains around our wrists. They can no longer sit back and watch their rights, their dignity, their everything being taken away from them. And they have lost too much. Now they have another and even bigger reason to continue fighting. They don't want all those lives that were ruined, taken away, destroyed, to have been for nothing. And now they're going to not only fight for what's theirs and what they want, but also fight to basically respect the lives that were taken away.
OK, we really appreciate that insight, Sahar. We're lucky to have you with us.
Thank you
very much.